Welcome to another episode of Inmate Tea with AMP. I'm your host, April, and on the phone is my co-host, Pig. Also, we have on the line James Foote from the state of Wisconsin. You are our first interviewee to come on the podcast from Wisconsin, and we welcome you, James Foote.
Thank you. Definitely appreciate your platform.
Thank you. Well, you have a very intriguing story. So you've been incarcerated for the past 24 years, and this is a case of actual innocence, something that you actually did not do that you're incarcerated with, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and how long of a sentence did you get?
I was sentenced to 40 years of total incarceration time and 20 years of extended supervision. In Wisconsin, they have a law called the Truth in Sentencing. They want you to do every bit of the incarceration time. It's a bifurcated sentence, meaning it's split in half.
Wow. So no possibility for parole, no possibility for early release, anything like that?
No possibility. 100% of the incarceration time.
And what is the charge?
First degree attempted intentional homicide and reckless injury.
Okay. Well, start us off and tell us what happened.
It was a New Year's Eve, 24 plus years ago. I was celebrating with, some friends, what the average person does on New Year's, drinking at a bar, kicking it, celebrating, trying to bring in the New Year's. It was long story short, it was a commotion at the end of the night, involving a group of men, white men. I'm a black man.
Okay.
And it turned into something hateful outside the bar, after the initial incident right outside the bar. And it ended up on another side of town where I was in a car, laid back, sleep passenger side, and a group of guys attacked an onslaught. N-word this, N-word that, get the N-word. Pulled me out of the car, attacked me. I had a table leg. I kind of swung it at everybody who was attacking me, including their pit bull dog, which they sicked on me, commanded on me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was. It's an emotional thing still to this day. But I used enough force to get these guys off me, including the dog, and I got away, with my life. And no one, I never swung and hit anyone with this table leg. Never, not once. The next morning, police are at my door, arresting me, telling me I'm being charged with this crime, which was murder. I was charged with the murder of a man who wasn't yet dead because he was on life support. And back up a little bit. To back up a little bit, something more happened after I fled the incident, escaped, and got away with my life. And, I'm sitting in the county jail, just totally shocked, like wowed. And, the interrogation went on, and I'm telling them, this is a racially motivated attack against my life. It's happening. I'm explaining to them what happened. And what's crazy is there was people there who were attacking me who went into the interrogation room using the same racial hate-filled words.
So I want to go back for a minute because I'm trying to like picture what's happening in my head and trying to put myself in your spot. So I'm trying to understand fully. And so if we go back, you are in your car laying in the back seat?
No, in the passenger seat.
In the passenger seat. Okay. And what were you doing in this particular area at that time? Was this at night, during the day?
It was 3 a.m., 3 in the morning, after bar hours.
After bar. He had just left the bar.
Yeah. And so you were just sitting in your... Were you sleeping? Were you asleep?
Yes, I was asleep.
Okay, and so these other guys, were they around your age?
See, the thing about it is I have no idea who these people were. Had no clue at all. Come to find out, they were all around my age.
Okay,
after...
You never seen them in the bar or anything like that when you were in there?
Not at all.
Never spoke to them before?
Never.
Okay. And so they just come out of nowhere and start, yelling these profanities at you.
Absolutely. I'm the only black guy there.
About how many of them would you say that there was?
It was a group of maybe 6, 7.
Okay. All right. And so
So,
this happens. You get the table leg. You said
Yes,
where was that at? Was that in your car?
that
Was
was
that on the ground?
in the car. It was in the car. I was in the car with a friend of a friend, I guess we should say.
Okay. And so were they directing these derogatory terms and stuff just at you or at your both of you and your friend?
At me, I'm the only black person.
Okay.
I'm the only black person there.
Okay, so your friend
with
was not
someone that
black.
was, yeah.
And
what does your friend say in this moment?
she's just hysterical at first, and I'm just like, I'm coming out of like I was marijuanaed up. I smoked marijuana at that time, a little tipsy as well. Vodka and lemonade. It's a night, New Year's Eve, of celebrating and bringing in the New Year's, and I'm just like coming out of the stupor, like what's going on? What's really going on? What the hell is happening? And
Yeah.
it all happened so fast in seconds, like quick, fast in seconds. And again, escaping and removing myself from this onslaught, this attack was,
Do you
the
feel
only
like
thing that was on my mind.
do you feel like
That's
that
the
this
only thing that was on my mind.
racially, charged because you were with a white woman?
It possibly could have been. It possibly could have been, but I think the hate just stemmed from me, a black man in itself, period, being black.
So
and
then
the racial hate was serious.
Yeah. And so at that moment, when you're, swinging this table leg trying to get them away from you, at what point do they finally give up and go away?
They tend to call alcohol liquid courage, have them like pressing and pressing and pressing. When I get enough space and room to get back in the car is all my doing in itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
at this time, you're just fighting to save you and the young lady that you're with. You're trying to protect her. You're trying to protect yourself to get out of that area because, for one, you're under the influence and you know that you're in a precarious situation. And for two, you're facing 6 men and a pit bull that's trying to attack you. So your only concern is self-preservation to save yourself and the young lady that you're with and to get out of that area.
Self-preservation, defending myself, protecting myself, getting away with my life intact. One.
Would you say this area where you're at, did you live in this area as well?
No, I didn't. I was actually living in Madison for about 2 years at that time. I implanted from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And, after doing some research and being locked up and doing some research, come to find out this is where I must admit racism is alive and well down there in that city.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if that was kind of like, predominantly white area where this kind of behavior tend to happen. And be accepted. So it sounds like that is the case.
It is the case. 24 years ago, before I guess you could call the racial awakening, they buried me alive, thinking that this case would never be brought to the attention of the public or have any media shine a light on it. I am a survivor of a crime. When you think about what happened to me, you think about Trayvon Martin, you think about Ahmaud Arbery, you think about James Byrd. These are 3 black men who was faced with the same similar situation and were killed. I just happened to survive. How? I don't know. But in my survival, I took it all the way to trial. Obviously, I'm innocent. I didn't do what you guys are saying I did. And they hung me out, put me on the plantation. But here's the catch right here. There were 2 witnesses who called 911, and they went to bat for me. They told the police upon their arrival. They described everything that was happening while they were on the phone with 911. When the police arrived, they went out there and told them that if you arrest the people that's out here right now, you have the person that's committed this crime. Now, something obviously happened once I escaped with my life.
Yeah. And let's get into that, because so somebody lost their life. Who in the mix of all this was that did lose their life? Was it one of the guys that was attacking you?
All calls other than properly
Yes.
placed attorney calls may be monitored and recorded.
And do you know the nature?
No one died.
No one died. Okay.
No one died.
Was injured.
Okay.
Yeah, no one died. This person was injured.
Okay. And so he's injured, and he never comes up and says that you didn't do it?
No, he's injured. He's left a vegetable from an incident that happened after the incident and these guys attacking me. They said this table leg is what was used to do the damage to this guy. Now, again, mind you, the discoveries, the witnesses who had nothing to gain or lose, who were sober, who called 911, who described everything that happened. So much so that she wrote a letter at my sentencing explaining to the judge how she was coerced to testify and not speak what she actually saw, and how she drew a depiction, a composite sketch of what happened that night so that she wouldn't forget what happened.
Wow.
And yes. Amazing. Amazing. And they found the table leg that I had to defend myself with. I used to thwart these people off me. They found it in the snow, no blood in or around the table leg. It was an old wooden table leg with nooks, crevices, and crannies. They did the DNA test. They did the powder test. They obviously eyeballed it. No DNA, hair, skin, follicles, blood, nothing. Both experts, the defense side and the prosecutor side, said, we did the exam on this. You know, so when you're speaking of justice, you're speaking on justice through science. You can't make it up.
They're saying that, so they took you to trial, found you guilty of a crime with no physical evidence, no circumstantial evidence. They had no exculpatory evidence. They have nothing. They're just going off of the actual fact that you are a black man in a white neighborhood.
You know.
Wow.
Only,
that is goodness. It's hard to put yourself in those shoes and be thinking about, I mean, whenever you heard this for the first time, what you're being charged for, what was going through your head? What were you thinking?
Never having experienced the criminal justice system at this level, I was shocked. I'm sitting in the county jail charged with murder of a man who's not yet dead. I'm just taken aback. Like, what's going on? What's really going on? I'm thinking the system is going to work.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking it's going to work. I'm thinking like I'll really be out of jail within a couple of days or a couple of hours. You know, and after everything was all said and done, I'm thinking, you know, is it going to work on criminal appeals? It didn't work, and I'm pressing and pushing and writing letters to so many different people, politicians, organizations, and I'm trying to, you know, my plea for help. I'm thinking the district attorney's office is going to see this for what it is and not even bring forth charges. And I'm like, once everything is set in place, preliminary hearings and things like that, I'm looking like, wow. So the judicial system isn't right. And I have an article. I have a piece. It's artificial intelligence versus human decision making. Now, that removes the internal, external factors, the biases, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, think about how deep that is. How deep is that? 12 people making a ruling based on which expert is true. What if both experts are saying the same thing? But now you're making a ruling on which person that's testifying is truthful.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Which one? Some of them make a decision on which person appeals to them.
Yeah, you know,
there we go.
I have personally witnessed racism in the court system because I actually got to serve on a jury. I got called for jury duty. This was long before this podcast happened, so I did not, you know, do anything illegal. But anyway, so I served on a jury for a federal court, and I actually wanted to experience this. So I did want to get picked, but there was, you know, 30 jurors, and there was a possibility that I wasn't going to get picked, a high possibility. And it got down to the end, and there was me and one other woman sitting, waiting to see if we were going to be picked for the jury. On trial was a black man. He was there in the courtroom. The case was explained to us before the jury selection started, and he was sitting there at the desk with his attorney while this played out, going through the jurors. So at the end, me and her sitting there, the last juror is in the box being questioned, and he comes up with an excuse, because a lot of people that get jury duty, they want to be able to give some excuse to be thrown off the jury so they don't have to serve on the jury. So
True.
He gets thrown off the jury, and then so it comes down to me or her, and I wanted to be on the jury, but I kind of didn't, because I knew I was going to miss a lot of work. And, but in that moment, I was thinking this could be me that they call next. And she, being a white woman, she turns to me, she looks at me, and she said, "This should be an easy case. He's a black man. This is drugs. He's here. He's guilty."
Yeah.
Wow.
And in that moment,
I
knew that I was going to take that last spot on the jury. If they called me, I was going to make sure I was in that jury box, and it wasn't her. And I did, and I served on the jury.
Okay. And you weighed everything out based on evidence.
We deliberated 3 days, and it was all due to me and 2 other women on the jury that were like, "Hey, we've got to go through this with a fine-tooth comb." And there were a lot of people on the jury that were upset with us that we were, doing this, but I explained to them. I even explained to the jury, the other jury members, "Hey, I know somebody that was wrongly convicted that was later exonerated. Right. So I know that this happens, and I don't want this on me."
Yep.
Yes.
And I will say that is why jury selection and serving on the jury is important for the people in the community when you get called. Because if you don't get called, if I had not been picked and that other woman had sat on the jury, it would have been an easy guilty, and she would have not looked at the evidence constructively.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. We must in our community serve our civil duties. We must step up and do what you did.
Yeah.
That's mandatory. I'm thinking the judge is going to use her discretion and throw it out, even after all the testimony, people admitting to doing what they did. And when the independent eyewitnesses remind you, the same 2 individuals who called 911, who came to the police station after seeing me, a black man, on the news saying, "Hold on, what's going on? We are the ones who called 911. We're the ones who went out to the streets and told them everything that happened. We witnessed this from our window. We were sober, and you have a black man in custody. You have the wrong person in custody. We witnessed this." I was thinking the judge would use her discretion and, throw it out, but
yeah.
I was surprised.
Do these whistleblower witnesses, do they take the stand and say this stuff in court?
They take the stand, say it in court. The couple, elders, white, nothing to lose or gain. Yes. The forensic pathologist who on both sides, the defense and the prosecutor, who had the table leg that was allegedly used to beat someone with, saying it's pretty much impossible that this table leg was used to do anything to anyone.
Yeah.
So Mr. Foote, you got 2 witnesses sitting here testifying on your behalf. They're elder people of the community. That's European people, white people. And they are saying, "Hey, you have the wrong man. A white man committed this crime. We've seen a white man commit this crime, but you've got a black man locked up for committing this crime. The weapon that was used, or they say that was used in the crime, doesn't have the victim's DNA on it. It doesn't have any form or traces of blood on the weapon." And you go to trial, your attorney, he's putting on his defense, and he's showing that these things prove to shine a light on your innocence. So
Yes.
When at the end of the trial, when you were found guilty, when you filed your first appeal, what was the appellate court's reasoning for denying you justice?
My first appeal, we have no money, so it's a fight.
Yes.
Obviously,
yes.
This guy filed a no merit report. A no merit report is the attorney appointed by the state, who's paid by the state, is saying there's no merit here. There's no claim. There's nothing we can fight for Mr. Foote. Being new to the system, being new to law, I had to study, I had to research, I had to go deep in learning this language called law. And obviously that's where the system holds their hand on your back, use it against you. And they always say ignorance is not an excuse. What you don't know is not an excuse when it comes to you filing appeals and filing issues and complaints to the board. It's been tough, up and down, from the Court of Appeals, from the Circuit Court to the Court of Appeals to the Supreme Court, and going back and coming back up again. It's been tough.
What about the other white males from this altercation? Do any of them take the stand and say, that you didn't do this? Or did they all get up there and say you did?
They all pointed the finger at me. They all pointed the finger at me, with the exception of the two elder people. They all said it was him. Remind you, they have a lot to lose. And their history came out in court. These are people who were formerly incarcerated over and over again. And there were also evidence that was never brought forth, like other acts of evidence showing that these people have done this similar situation before in the past. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Wow. You're talking about wow, okay. So what I don't know, they hid from me.
So these people have committed these crimes, this type of crime in the past, but their testimony was the key instrument of finding you guilty. What they have said is pretty much a total lie.
Absolutely.
And you have new evidence, and you have evidence to prove these things, but the courts are still not hearing.
Yes.
Courts are still turning a blind eye to your...
Blind eye to justice. The scales of justice does not weigh in my favor. You just made mention of the courts turning a blind eye. Over and over and over again. It's been a battle. It's been an uphill battle, but I move forward with continuous fight. So much so I started a platform for my freedom. And it's blind eye, turning me down over and over and over and again. I even submitted the packet that I mailed to you guys to the Attorney General's office, and thinking that they would look at it and say, hey, this is compelling. We have to look at this. It's a must we look at this. No, Wisconsin isn't right. They do not respect the law. They do not respect the United States Constitution nor the state of Wisconsin's Constitution.
Did you get any response?
They wrote me back saying, here is a number to the public defender's office. Yes, exactly. I laughed as well.
Yeah.
Come on, you can't make this up, And I mailed you guys some documentation, and that's the same thing I mailed to them, and it's just like, wow. It's a big wow. And they can, they have the money to do a thorough investigation. They have the money to walk into the district attorney's office and look into the hidden files, to look at the exculpatory evidence, the evidence that the district attorney and the lawyer knew about, and that letter that you guys have from the independent witness in what she wrote to the judge in the sketch that she drew, that's exculpatory. That's something that my lawyer and the prosecuting attorney knew about, but kept from me.
Yeah. So now you're sitting in prison, and even if you was to file for a newly discovered evidence, because these were evidence that was privy to your lawyer and privy to the DA's office, but not to you, they're going to say, oh, the DA and the attorney knew about it, but they didn't see it being meritorious towards proving your innocence or guilt. You're against the uphill battle here because you got to prove that the evidence is gonna change the mind of a jury, and that leaves you in a peculiar situation, Mr. Foote. And like you said in your letter, you never wanted to make this about race, but at the same time, we got to look at it for what it is. We got to look at it for what it is when we're saying, hey,
because
everybody in the
race
courtroom
played a major role in this.
Yes. It played a major role.
Yeah. I do have to ask, though, what happened to the guy that was in the vegetable state? Did he ever recover, or was that something that, was his demise?
That eventually 20-something years later was his demise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what about the other men involved in this case? Have you ever heard of, them being in court for this type of behavior again after yours?
Here, I don't have boots on the ground for the research, or should we say the investigation and finding out, but through word of mouth, a lot of guys, fell victim to America's addiction.
Yeah.
And have passed on, overdoses. It's true.
So where does that leave you now with your case? What hope is there do you have left?
Actual innocence claim. I can file for actual innocence claim and pray that the courts stand with me, or getting the district attorney's office to take the district attorney at that time, the head DA and the ADA, they're no longer with this district attorney's office. So getting the district attorney that's there now to take a look at the things that I'm presenting and using his power to put me on the docket and releasing me, or a pardon from the governor, a commutation from the governor, a reprieve from the governor, his executive powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the state of criminal justice reform nationwide is huge, and a lot of political figures are starting to say, hey, this guy's been locked up too long. A lot of district attorneys are starting to say, hey, it's time to modify this guy's sentence or flat out release him, or her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you need in your case, is somebody to look at this constructively and look at the facts that, it's just so... It's so hard to read your case and think that this was the outcome, especially after people came forward and said, hey, you've got the wrong person.
It is. I'm in agreement. It's either keep moving forward or drown in your own misery as an incarcerated individual. So I've taken this time to better myself. I set in a place of self-help. I'm working on hiring a lawyer, a paid lawyer, who has a nice rapport with the district attorney's office, who will be able to go down there and share with him these facts. It's compelling. You cannot get past what's in writing. You cannot get past what these witnesses have said. You cannot get past the depiction, the composite sketch that she had and wrote, so that she would not forget what happened that night, based on knowing they have me incarcerated, an innocent black man. And I have some friends as well who run a Facebook page geared towards my freedom, at freedom, 4 foot on Facebook. A lot of what we're talking about is there.
Okay, and we've got a link to it down in the description as well, so that way our viewers can find it easily.
Okay. Absolutely.
So, yeah, this is a tough case to hear. I think it's one of the ones that I think has got to me the most out of all the cases that I've heard.
Okay.
I feel for you. I really do. And I wish that there was something else that we could do. And all I can say is that I hope that putting this episode out there reaches somebody that's listening that can do something. Somebody in Wisconsin that has the connections to be able to get something done about this case, to look at it, constructively and find some way to bring justice to something that has been left unjust for so long. That's my hope and prayer for you and for your case. We thank you so much for coming on our podcast and sharing your story with us. I know it's probably not easy to relive these events, and I just commend you for coming on and talking with us about it and walking us through those tragic moments. It's unfortunate that someone lost their life, but you also lost your life in that moment.
You know,
yes.
Mr. Foote, a great man named Dr. Martin Luther King once said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, you know. And with that being said, injustice has prevailed so long in your case for 24 long years. It has put you in a place of despair, but it hasn't broke your will to continuously strive to save your own life. And with that being said, I pray that the state of Wisconsin will hear you, will give you some reprieve, will give you an opportunity to walk out, because racism is live and real. We know that. But we don't want to dwell on that because we want to move forward. So being that we want to move forward, all we ask is accept and notice the wrong that has been served, the injustice that was served upon you and your family for something that you didn't do. Correct this, and let's move forward.
Thank you, guys. And that's really, really deep. It's touching what both you guys just said. And again, your platform, you guys are the embodiment of justice and hope. And I'm feeling the same way that you just expressed. Hopefully someone is paying attention. Hopefully someone steps up and assists me.
Yeah.
You know, carry me with them.
Yeah.
And help bring justice to the forefront.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we thank you so much, Mr. Foote.
And I thank you as well. Keep me in your prayers, and I'm going to continue to walk with my head up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please
Yes.
Yeah.